Hey, hey, hey. Time for the Out of This World story from rSpace. Some people just see their partner's success and get inspired to push themselves harder. Others see it and decide cheating is easier than putting in the work. Today on rSpace, derailed by jealousy. My girlfriend cheated on me because she was jealous of my career growth. I destroyed years of her hard work. I, 29 male, have been dating Sylvia, 28 female, for 4 years. And in those 4 years, we have grown together. There was a point, some months ago, when I realized that she was the person I wanted to be my wife. But now I'm not so sure because I highly suspected that Sylvia is cheating on me. I know that there's never a good reason why someone cheats on you, but I can't help feel like I had to have been deficient in some regard. I just feel like there's something I could have done better. That's what my heart says, but my mind knows if she's actually cheating, it was never my fault. Sylvia gets moody sometimes, but I usually don't treat that as some kind of red alert, because the other women I've had in my life get like that at times too, some more often than others. That's why I've never made a big deal of her getting like that once a month. There's usually a trigger to it too. And over the years, I've learned how to handle her better when she's like that, so it was even less of an issue for me. The problem was that I noticed that she got extremely moody one week, and all of my usual tricks didn't do anything. I asked her what was up, but she didn't have anything to say. She kept saying that she was fine, which pissed me off because it was clear that so much was not fine. I assumed that she'd get over it when she was ready, but that wasn't the case either, because she stayed like that for several weeks at a time. I made my mistake of trying to initiate things with her during that period, and that's probably the worst she's ever rejected me. She literally got out of bed and went to sleep on the couch. The day after that, I very seriously confronted her to ask what was wrong with her. I wasn't very kind with it, but I don't think that she deserved me to be. I don't know whether that reset her mind, but after all of that, she slowly went back to normal. When she was acting normal again, I tried to figure out what had happened, but she still claimed that there was nothing, so I left it at that. If you're anything like me, if you see your partner act like that without anything that seemed to be the cause, you'll want to figure out what was going on. I was planning to check her phone and see whether she received any kind of bad news that would have warranted that, and I would understand if it was the kind of bad news that would make her look bad, like losing her job or something. Before I could even get to that point, something happened, and that's what I'm here to talk about. She came back home a few days after she started acting normal again, and I hugged her and kissed her like I usually do. I noticed that she pulled away slightly when I kissed her, but I initially thought it was just in my head until some of the other things happened later. That was when I realized that I didn't imagine it. When I hugged her, she smelled good, but I knew that it wasn't her perfume. I commented on how good she smelled, and she said, "Thank you," and then pulled away from me. She went upstairs right away, and I heard the shower turn on. About an hour later that night, I realized that she was washing a load of clothes, but I saw that the load was literally what she had just worn that day, which was odd. I told her that I had some things I could have added to make the load a little more substantial, and she just apologized and said she had sweated a lot because of the weather and wanted to get the clothes clean quickly. That was where I started to suspect that something was going on. Everything pointed to her cheating on me, pulling away when I kissed her, smelling like the unfamiliar perfume, immediately hitting the shower, and washing her clothes right away. She could make excuses all day, but I knew that I was going to think what I was going to think. That's where I am right now, and that's the problem at the moment. I don't want to hope that she's cheating on me because I'm the one who will end up a heartbroken mess if that's the case. However, at the same time, it's really hard for me to deal with the anxiety of not knowing. I know that I'm going to have to check her phone, and I was already planning on doing it, so I guess it helps to have twice as much reasons to do it. It still feels like crap though. No one wants to be in the kind of relationship where that's a thing that you even have to do. If there's any advice for me, I'd love to hear it, but for now, it seems like I'm going to have to get to the bottom of things on my own. There's no way that she's going to tell me the truth of the matter. Update 1. I found out the truth regarding my girlfriend Sylvia. If you remember, I posted about how she got moody one week, and then a few days after she went back to normal again, she came back with all the tells of someone who had just finished cheating the same night. That was the sign I needed to try and figure things out for myself, because there was no way I was going to get the truth out of her. I needed to check her phone, and to be honest, I hated the anxiety I felt when I was constantly watching her phone to see if I was going to get an opportunity to check it and find out what was going on. Eventually, I got the chance when she was talking with one of my neighbors outdoors, and she left her phone inside. I immediately went for it, and it was great because I could see them through the window, and I know exactly when to abort the mission. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be because she messages people on more than one app, excluding her actual text messages. I went through as many of them as I could, and eventually I was able to find that she had some conversations that weren't super appropriate, but I couldn't exactly say they were good enough for me to have some kind of big confrontation with her. A lot of guys flirted with her, especially on Instagram, and she never explicitly told them to back off, but at the same time, she never said more than "thank you" or sent more than a few basic emojis. I did spot a guy called Richard with whom she was a bit more receptive, and I didn't recognize him. The problem was that I didn't have enough time to really get in depth with it because she came in before I could go through the entire thing. However, that was what I needed to know, that I was going to have to get to her phone at a time when she wouldn't be able to stop me at all, and that was going to be when she was sleeping. Because I already had the sense that something was up, I didn't even need to build up that much confidence. I went straight for her phone as soon as I was confident enough that she was sleeping, and I used it right there in bed, because if she woke up and saw me using what she assumed was my phone, it'd be a lot less suspicious than me not being there at all. I was able to dive through her conversation with Richard on Instagram, and over there, it was mostly her commenting on stories he posted that I couldn't see anymore. But they were inappropriate for someone with a boyfriend to be sending to someone. His comments were also flirty with her, and she didn't say anything about that. In fact, she received them better than she received anyone else's comments. I was lucky that I decided to look at the timestamps, because that was when I saw that the last messages that they had sent to each other on Instagram had been sent about 2 weeks earlier. That was when I decided to go to her actual text messages, and that's when I saw that their conversations had moved there. Apparently, he had asked one of her best friends for her number, and that friend had obliged. That part was crazy because I knew the friend, and it was hard for me to understand why they would do that when they knew I was in the picture. I assumed that they did it because he was more attractive than I, and in her shallow mind, that was an upgrade for her friend. In the messages with Richard, I was able to confirm that they had started flirting and sexting full on. If that was all that I had seen, it would have been enough for me to end things with her. However, I was able to read the text where they made plans to meet, and that was on the same night that she had come back acting weird. After, none of them said anything that spelled out what had happened, but from the emojis and that was a good time messages, I could tell what had happened. It was clear that they had slept together from the general vibe of things. I took pictures of all of that with my own phone. The truth was that I didn't even need confirmation that they had slept together at that point. Everything I had seen is enough for me to know that things can never be the same between the two of us. She doesn't want me. She wants someone else, clearly, and I'm going to let her have him. As to how I feel, I really don't know how to define the way I feel. I think a good word is unsettled, because it feels like I can't focus on anything without the idea of her cheating popping into my mind. I'm trying not to think too much about it, but I can't help myself. After all, this is someone who I was planning to propose it to in less than a year. I was that sure about it, but I guess I dodged a bullet. It still hurts me a lot, and I wish that I could feel better right away. This is one of those wounds that only time heals, so I'll just have to bear it. I don't understand what I did wrong. Besides not looking like a model, I was always the sweetest guy to her, and I showed my love to its fullest extent. I guess that's not worth crap, though. That's my fault for not getting the memo. Sylvia didn't just get moody, she got infidelity fatigue. She traded you for a cheap thrill and didn't even have the decency to choke on it. It's always wild how cheaters think washing their clothes somehow launders the evidence and their conscience. Update 2. Despite this being one of the worst episodes I have had to endure in my life, I have to tell you that the newest development amuses me, despite the entire situation. I figured out why Sylvia decided to cheat on me, and to be quite honest, it's the silliest thing I've heard in my entire life, but I guess humans will always be flawed. Once I settled myself, I confronted her. I told her that I knew for a fact that she had cheated on me, and instead of wasting our time and getting herself to tell on herself, I told her everything that I knew, so that she would know that without a doubt that I knew about everything. I told her his name, I told her where they had chatted, and I told her where they had met up. I also told her that it all aligned with the day when she had come back smelling different. She clearly didn't know how to react to everything that I was saying, so I could have sworn that she was trying to think of an excuse, but there's no way out of it, at least not without her thinking 10 minutes straight. That was when she admitted that she had done it, but I could never understand why. I told her to humor me, and that was when she admitted to me that she had cheated on me because she was depressed, and the depression she was dealing with was my fault. I asked her what I had done that could have made her depressed, because I had done all of that I could to make sure that she understood how loved she was by me. I did everything I could to support her dreams and meet her needs. She acknowledged that I did all of that, but she let me know that what she was referring to was how I had been throwing my career success in her face, and I never took the hint to realize how much it was breaking her. It was crazy for me to hear her say that, because I never threw any of it in her face. I was a guy working hard and getting promotions in recognition of how good I was at my job. I celebrate it, but I don't make the biggest deal about it, which is how I didn't even connect the dots in the first place. How was I supposed to think that something which was supposed to make her really happy was the reason why she decided to go moody for a week? Because the events lined up perfectly. I told her that she was jealous, and it didn't have anything to do with me. I was supposed to celebrate my wins with my girlfriend, and if she chose to be jealous, that was something that I could not do anything about. The worst part about the entire situation is that she works a job with the potential for career growth, but she wants no part of it because she's more focused on writing her novel. She's been working on it in her free time for more than 3 years, and I always supported her in that. I read every chapter as she finished them. I gave constructive criticism as well. I helped her with plot holes, and when she got stuck. It was never a problem to me, but since she wants to make my career growth a problem, I won't stop myself from making her wannabe author situation a problem. I asked her how that really justified her cheating on me. She said that she wasn't saying that my career was the direct reason for why she cheated, but she had cheated because of the depression that she felt because of how I rubbed my success in her face. I told her that I never rubbed my success in her face. I spoke with her about my success, the way most people would with a significant other. She was the one who had chosen to hate me for it instead of being happy. I told her that I never stopped her from taking her job seriously. Before she could say anything, I told her that I knew she wasn't going harder than she was because of her novel, but at the same time, it had been 3 years. She should have finished it, and that wasn't my fault either. She never gave us the chance to celebrate any of her wins, and she tried to make that my problem. I told her to leave my house, since it's my apartment, and she tried to beg at first, but I eventually had to get really mean for her to leave in a flash. She told me she'd come back to get more, and I told her that that was fine, but it wasn't going to be that day. I needed time to be alone, or I'd flip out on her. I would let her know when she could come back. I already know what I'm going to do to get back at her, and even though I know it will get messy, I don't care. She didn't mind breaking my heart, and I don't mind returning the favor. No one has a monopoly on being a heartless a-hole. Update 3. As I mentioned in my last post, I confronted my ex-girlfriend Sylvia about the fact that she was cheating on me, and her excuse was that she had been depressed by my constant wins at work, and to make herself feel better, she decided to sleep with some other guy. The person in question has no wins because they spend their time half-assing it at work, so they can spend all their free time writing their novel. This is a novel that she has spent more than 3 years writing. She's been writing it for the majority of our relationship. That novel has been a big part of everything, and just like our relationship that I put my whole heart into, she put a lot of her soul into that manuscript. When she left the house, she left her laptop behind, since she was meant to come back and get it. I took that liberty to delete her manuscript from the computer. I work with computers, so I knew that there was a possibility that she could restore the file, even after I deleted it from the recycle bin. I wanted to make sure that her pain was permanent, like mine was going to be. Maybe this was a step too far, but because I had spare drives at home, I found one of the same size, installed Windows on it, and set it up to be identical as much as I could, and I made sure to send all of her files over, so it basically seemed like the same drive as before. Though if she was smart enough, she might have noticed a few of the tells of a fresh OS. And before you ask whether she backed up her manuscript, she initially didn't. I was the one who basically begged her to, and eventually, I had to ask her to send a copy for me to back up periodically. So, I'm in control of the backups. It also didn't help that she chose to keep the manuscript very close to her chest instead of sharing it with friends at intervals. At least they would have had some older files for her to begin from. She came to get the laptop, and it was that night that she called me to ask where her manuscript was. I told her that I had no idea. She said that I was lying. She asked me if that was the immature way I decided to get back at her, and I still said I had no idea what she was talking about. She sounded really angry and asked me what I wanted her to do. Is it a sorry you're looking for? I'm sorry, I am, but I can't take it back. I told her I appreciated the half apology, but it had nothing to do with her missing manuscript. She asked me to send the last backup I had, but I told her I couldn't find them. That was when she knew for sure that I had something to do with it. I told her to leave me alone, because I didn't have what she was looking for, and I wasn't going to have her ever again. She started crying over the phone, and I hung up on her. She showed up at my place about half an hour later, and she was hysterical. She begged and begged, and I told her I was going to call the police if she didn't leave. Since I had nothing to do with her manuscript, I couldn't trust that she wasn't recording or something. She's come back to ask me about the manuscript at least 10 times, but each time, I told her I had nothing to do with it. If you want to tell me that what I did was excessive, what's the difference between what she did to me and what I did to her? I wasted 4 years on her, and I can't get them back. At least she can write the manuscript again. I'm never going to be the kind of guy who says you should turn the other cheek, especially with cheaters. They always deserve something to let them know for a fact that they're horrible people who deserve the worst. She cheated and said it was because your success made her depressed? What even is that? She spent years pretending to chase her own dreams while acting like your achievements were a personal insult. She can whine, beg, and throw tantrums all she wants, but in the end, she's the one who chose to behave like a selfish brat. What would you do? Thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon.